Good morning and welcome back. The entire morning, Evan and I have been going on and on about the Springboks. Well, the moment of truth has arrived for them. After months of vigorous back-patting, high fives and fist-pumping, the men in green and gold go up against the boogeyman, the All Blacks. Alistair Coetzee and his men up against the only international side with a winning record against every single opponent in international rugby. In the 21 tests they've played since 2016, the All Blacks have had 18 wins. They've lost 2 and drawn only 1. Their 47-match winning streak at home interrupted only by one of those losses to the British and Irish Lions. Well, the Boks go to the veritable Lions' den for their litmus test. With me to chat about this and talk about the Springboks' chances is Jody Hendricks. Good morning, Jody.
Good morning, Kendal.
Are you giving them a chance?
Not at all. It's the moment of truth, like you said, for the Springboks. I think I don't expect a lot from them. They had an average performance against Australia last week. Probably the fact that they got a draw, I'd give them about a 70%. If they play anything close to that on Saturday, they're asking for trouble. New Zealand, on the other hand, they didn't have the best performance against Argentina, and they made 7 changes. South Africa had a couple of injury-enforced changes, and the players that didn't do well last week are still in the starting lineup. So I don't see a good weekend or a good outing for the Springboks against the All Blacks tomorrow.
Now, besides the results that you just referred to right now, what else is missing in the Bok lineup, in the Bok setup, for the All Blacks to avoid a loss to the Springboks?
Well, first of all, I don't think the A game is going to be good enough. They're going to have to bring the A+ game. The forwards are absolutely going to have to dominate the lineouts, the breakdown, scrums, especially to give the back line all that front football. And I think the game in the back line for South Africa will probably be won or lost with our 10-15 combination, while they gel and how they alternate on Saturday between Elton Jantjies and Andries Coetzee. Andries Coetzee didn't have a good game, so did Elton Jantjies last week against Australia, and if the All Blacks exploit that, South Africa's in for a long day.
We're going to talk about the key matchups shortly, but the big one that overnight that we found out, the big news, was how Ross Cronje is out with illness and gets replaced by Francois Hougaard. Now, one of the things that have been mentioned is Hougaard is not necessarily the sharpest of scrum halves, not in international rugby. How do you rate Francois Hougaard? How do you rate whatever performance he's going to bring to the game, and how it's going to basically help the Springboks tomorrow?
Yeah. The one thing that Ross has done well, the few opportunities he's gotten in 2017, is he fits into the Springbok structure very well. So he links up, he's the link between the forwards and the backs, and he does that almost perfectly. Francois Hougaard brings the X factor, Kendal. You know, he's very unpredictable, and when you're playing within a certain structure, I don't think that's the kind of player that the Springboks want. But on the other hand, they don't have a lot of options. I think Ross Cronje by far is the best number 9 in South Africa. It could be a toss-up between Francois Hougaard, Rudy Page, and any of the other scrum halves in South Africa. Francois Hougaard, I think because of his versatility and his experience, he's played more than 40 tests for the Springboks. I think that's why he got the nod. And an interesting matchup against Aaron Smith, who's also back in the All Black backline, so that's also a duel I'm looking forward to. But I wouldn't have. I've got a few question marks around Francois Hougaard's general play and the link he does or plays between the Springboks forwards and backs.
Interesting that you bring up Aaron Smith, because he's back to his sublime best. Rudy Page sits on the bench. Do you think Rudy Page should have gotten the net, not ahead of Hougaard?
I think, like I said, it was a toss-up. Rudy brings a different factor. Rudy is a bit more stable. His cleaning is the problem that I have, and I think the reason why Francois also probably got the nod is because he cleans a bit quicker at the base or at the scrums than Rudy Page does. Rudy Page's kicking game, although is it's much better than Francois', but I think you can't afford to kick the ball away nilly-willy against the All Blacks. Then you're asking for trouble, especially if you look at the back 3 they've selected.
Which is some of the challenges I think that Andries Coetzee was having earlier on in the Rugby Championship this year, not quite getting his cake chase right. What other key matchups do you reckon will make the difference on the day?
Well, first of all, I think number 10 is the Beauden Barrett and Elton Jantjies, a pivotal role. We saw how the All Blacks struggled last week when Barrett had an off game, and also he didn't. He got a yellow card as well. So I think that is definitely a matchup. Elton is always spoken about the potential he has, and he has to prove it against the best in the world. And he has an opportunity tomorrow. I think the centre combinations is also going to be very interesting. I think Jan Serfontein and Jesse Kriel for South Africa. They'll need to link up more with the wings out wide. They haven't done that a lot. I've been disappointed by the Springbok backline, and I think you know, if you go one-on-one with the All Blacks, you're asking for trouble. But if the Springboks manage to play as a unit and to make that step up from the A game to the A+ game and have a big increased performance like they did last week, they will be in with a chance, but it's going to be very difficult because if we look at the All Black starting lineup and we can go through all the changes that's been made, it's still world-class players that came in the Kendal. It's going to be very tough for the Springboks, and I think the players individually know that, but if they can manage to play as a team, they might have a chance.
So let's talk a little bit about the tight five. We lose Kuni Oosthuizen because he's not going to be able to make it through. Ruandre comes into the side. How do you think this is going to pan out for the Boks tomorrow?
I'm quite surprised that Trevor Nyakandi didn't get the nod, but when I listened to Alistair, what he said around that specific selection is that he wants Trevor to make an impact of the bench, and that what he's been doing the whole or most of 2017, he's made an impact of the bench when he came on. So Ruandre, I don't think Ruan Dreyer did it. He got an opportunity earlier this year, and he didn't have the best outing for the Springboks. But I suppose beggars can't be choosers. Julian Redling is not there. Frans Malherbe is still injured. So we're looking at our fourth starting prop for this year, and to expect him to take on the mighty All Black team, it's going to be a tough ask, especially if you take in consideration that the French also exposed him earlier this year.
It's going to be very tough. And looking at our loose forwards, Uzair Kasim is still in the mix. Siak Kolisi, however, Jaco Kriel, he falls out because of injury.
Yeah, Jean-Luc Dupree. The thing I like about Jean-Luc Dupree, I think if Sia can manage the breakdown, because Jaco Kriel's been doing well at the breakdown, if Sia can take that role or responsibility on Saturday, Jean-Luc Dupree is a ball carrier. And that is actually the kind of person we might need against the All Blacks, is to get us over the game line, to give us those forward momentum. And Jean-Luc Dupree is young, he's strong, he's very physical. If he can manage to get us a couple of meters across the game line and give our forwards front foot ball for the back line to lay the foundation, that could actually count in our favour. But like you said, sorry for Jaco Kriel, he's been doing well at the breakdown this season. I think that's been what's been keeping him in the team, actually, because I don't think on defence he's let a couple of tries slip or missed a couple of tackles, but at the breakdown he's been phenomenal. But Jean-Luc Dupree will give us something to put us on the front foot.
I certainly have no doubt that Siya Kolisi will step up and man up and be at the breakdown and carry and do everything that he has been doing. He's been quite phenomenal as a player, also as a vice-captain to Eben Etzebeth. In terms of the All Blacks, who is it that we target, and at which phases of the game do we target them?
Well, first of all, I think Kieran Reid, a phenomenal leader. He's gonna probably be the difference. Also, we spoke about those fly-ups, but Kieran Reid's his general play, besides the fact that he's captain, he leads the team phenomenally. And I think even if he wasn't captain, he'd still be the number 1-8 in the world. And I'm looking forward to see what Uzair Kasim might be able to do against him. It's an opportunity for a young Kasim to make a name against the All Black legend. So I think the decision making on the field under there as well. I've criticised Evan's decision making against Australia last week. If he makes that kind of decisions again against the All Blacks, we ask him for trouble. Yeah, so the general play of the All Blacks will be right up there. They're going to put in a litmus test against the Springboks. So decision making is going to be key, and that's why I think Kieran Reid and Eben Etzebeth will come in off the field.
And one thing we need to make sure that when we kick, our chases are clinical, our chases are accurate, and they're quick.
Last week, our kicking game was horrendous against Australia, and we can't afford to do that. That's why I'm surprised that Andries Coetzee is still wearing the number 15 jersey, but I suppose Alistair knows what he has in him. They're going to have to improve on that, and that's why I said the 10-15 combination between Alton and Andries Coetzee is going to be very important. Who kicks, when they kick, how they kick, are they going to kick for the line, are they going to kick tactical up and unders? It's going to be very important tomorrow, because if they kick the ball away willy-nilly, with the backline that the All Blacks selected and those backline players, they're going to give the Springboks a lot of trouble. It's going to be a tough day, the office for the Springboks. They have a small chance, but they're going to have to do a lot of things right.
A little earlier, we were asking our viewers what they thought about the Springboks' chances out in New Zealand. It's going to be a tough ask to even try and get and be competitive tomorrow. And if we do have that available, I'd like to share it. But in the meantime, I can tell you this. I'm already talking about us and not them. I'm talking about the Springboks. And I'm talking about them as if I've taken ownership, because I think I've got belief in what this team can do. Maybe not necessarily now, but a little later. Let's have a look here. Nazim has come and he says, let's wait and see. I don't give them a chance in Australia, but they gave it all and came up with a draw. So he reckons, you know what, anything could happen tomorrow, and it remains to be seen. Janae comes in as well and says she sure does believe they've got a chance. Go Bokke. What are your sentiments?
I just want to say two things quickly. We shouldn't forget that the Springboks haven't lost a game in 2017, so that's a positive and that's a plus. The other thing that we should take into consideration, Kendal, is that And this is probably the difference between winning and losing tomorrow, is that they're playing away from home. If this game had to be played in South Africa at this time, I would have given the Springboks a much better chance than I do give them in New Zealand. So the fact that you spoke about the New Zealand record earlier, that they don't lose at home very often. And for a South African side who's on the up and on a high, average performance against Australia last week, it's going to be very difficult. I give them about a 25% chance to win this game, but 75 times out of 100, the All Blacks will take this, and I'm sure they will take it tomorrow if they perform like we know they can perform.
Yeah, turn on the style and whatever you've got, 20 minutes later, it's all over.
And that's going to be actually the most important part. I think the Boks will probably be in it for about the first 60. And if they can defend that last 20 minutes, that's where the game will be won and lost.
Jody Hendricks, thank you very much. Really
Thank
appreciate
you,
your views. I really hope you're wrong. But you know,
I hope so too.
My heart is saying, yes, no, Jody's wrong, but my head is saying, Jody's right. You know, he does it. The Springboks, they need to bring the A+ game tomorrow to if they've got any chance of beating the All Blacks out in New Zealand. That's according to Jody Hendricks. We take a short break after the weather. Stay close.